Okay, welcome everybody to the second annual Affinity Group Summit. As we're getting started and while we're waiting for others to join us, please take a moment to let us know where you're located and your affiliation, if any, and do that in the chat. And also, if you'd like to share your contact information to be in touch with others who are with us today, feel free to indicate your email or your LinkedIn profile so that people can find you. I see a number of people are joining us and others are still coming in. While you're entering information in the chat, letting us know where you are and your affiliation, I want to let everybody know that we will be recording the first half of today's program. The second half will be largely in breakouts, and unfortunately, Zoom doesn't give us the opportunity or the facility for recording those groups. But we will share the recording of the first half in a couple of days or so, along with other information, as we typically do. So you don't need to take notes unless you want to. So we'll leave that option, leave that up to you. We also ask that you keep yourself muted during this early part of the program so that others aren't disturbed by background noises and so on. But feel free to share comments in the chat. I also before we get started, like to thank Jim McGinley for his partnership in planning today's program, and also to Amy Avergun and Mary Cronin, and Aaron Ali and so many others who have had a part in shaping the program today. It takes a village to do these things, and we've got a good village. So thanks to all. So again, I think there's still people joining us, but we're going to get started. Welcome again, and we're excited to have you all with us today. Whether you're returning or joining us for the first time, we're glad to have you here because this is a place where we turn ideas into action. For those who are new to our community, the Encore Network champions the civic, social, and economic contributions of people over 50. We believe that experience is a resource that we can't afford to waste. And this network is about unlocking that value in ways that benefit communities, economies, and individuals alike. At the heart of that work are our affinity groups. And today we're reintroducing them with a bold new frame. These aren't just self-organized groups of members who gather around shared interests. They are that. But they're also labs for change. They're spaces where passionate people like all of us explore challenges, test new ideas, and develop solutions that lead to lasting impact. We now have 5 active labs focused on employment, entrepreneurship, intergenerational connection, advocacy, and Encore Ventures. And we're excited to launch today a 6th one that we're calling Reimagining Service. This group will look beyond the traditional volunteering that we all think about as service to recognize the full spectrum of ways that people over 50 serve their families, their communities, and society. Before we move on, I want to take a moment to thank Deborah Albert and Victor Ortiz for building a new digital library for the network. This is a place where we'll house research and other materials generated or collected by our affinity groups. And we'll be unveiling that library soon, but I want to mention it because it will be a resource available to the affinity groups to support the work we do together going forward. And will be a part of our ability to make happen the things that we'll be talking about today. So today, each affinity will share a fast 3-minute pitch, a big idea that captures their focus for the months ahead. Think of them as sparks sparks that will ignite, we hope, your imagination, your curiosity, and your commitment. After the pitches, we'll move to breakout sessions where you choose the idea that inspires you most and help shape its next chapter. What resonates, what's missing, who else needs to be in the room, and most important, what will you do to bring this? By the way, you can be a part of more than one breakout session today. Unfortunately, you can't be in two places at once, but you can join more than one affinity group. So we're building on the momentum of the recent Flip the Script campaign. But now, and by the way, all the work that's already been done by these affinity groups over the past months and years. But now we're flipping the switch from awareness to action and from possibility to progress. So listen to these pitches with an open mind, engage with purpose, and let's start writing the next chapter together. So to get started today, we'll be hearing 6 different fast pitches. And to get us started, Paula Getz will be representing the Over 50 Employment Affinity Group.
Thanks, Doug. Appreciate it. Hello, everybody. I want to start with, I'm Paula Getz, as he says. I want to start with the proposal that will create a recognition program that elevates the stories of employers that have made modest but measurable gains in hiring or supporting older workers. So we all know in a labor market that's tight, tech disrupted, and constantly shifting, we need to shine a light on one of the most overlooked solutions to that, being experienced workers. We all know people over 50, we bring deep industry knowledge, sound judgment, and resilience from years of navigating change. But too often we're pushed aside, passed over in hiring, denied training, and let go in those famous reorgs. Why? Because age bias, even if unspoken, tells employers that the return on investing in older talent just isn't there. And that bias is blinding them to the asset that's right in front of them. So here's the big idea, an employer recognition initiative that flips the script. We want to identify and celebrate employers who are taking real tangible steps to engage, hire, and retrain workers over 50, especially the small achievable changes that any organization could replicate, with also peer examples that are often more persuasive than those research reports. This isn't about giving out plaques. It's about building a pipeline of promising practices. It's about sharing examples of what works. It's about growing a network of employers whose stories show what age-smart employment looks like in action. And imagine job seekers over 50 using that visibility to identify workplaces where their experience will be recognized, not ignored. So this idea builds on the momentum of Flip the Script campaign, draws on our employer guide to engaging older workers that's been out for a couple of years, and connects to our new Experience at Work blog. It gives us and our members a way to amplify stories, surface new models, and encourage continuous progress across the sectors. So we're in the early stages of this, and that's where you come in. We want your help to shape a simple selection process, define the criteria, design recognition formats that matter, and think about how do we promote this? How do we tell the stories? What should we call this thing? What would make it irresistible to employers and powerful job seekers so that it'll go viral on social media? So let's create something that motivates action, lifts up real progress, and changes the narrative about age and work. We have seen it. When employers do the right thing, others take notice. So join us in making this thing come alive.
Great. Thanks, Paula. That's spark number 1. Now for spark number 2, we have Lynn Friest representing the Encore Entrepreneurship Affinity Group.
Hi, again, as told you I was Lynn Freest, and the idea I'm pitching here today is the Solopreneur Planning Canvas. Let me start with some truths that we don't talk enough about. More people over 50 start businesses than at any other age, and they're 2 to 3 times more likely to succeed. Again, by about 2030, 25% of the total workforce will be over 55. Also, about 49% of U.S. businesses have between 1 and 4 employees. So now here's the twist. Most of them don't want to build empires. They want to build something that they can run on their own terms, in their own time, and often without any additional employees. And we call them solopreneurs. And they're going to be a force that's hiding in plain sight. Even today, we have almost 42 million solopreneurs in the U.S. So the challenge is freelancers, consultants, online shop owners, nonprofit founders, even franchisees. They're doing it without a team, but they're not doing it for fun. This is their livelihood. And yet, there's no central hub of support for them. Most don't know where to start, what to plan for, where to find help, and the existing resources are often scattered, underpromoted, or built for startups where they have staff and investors and plan to scale up. So our big idea is the Solopreneur Planning Canvas. And I like to think of that as a one-stop visual roadmap that walks aspiring or current solopreneurs through the things they need to build a viable one-person business. So within this Solopreneur Planning Canvas, we're going to curate and organize content, including tools, checklists, links, guides, organizations, even services, and then layer this so it's useful and practical for people. What values would this service or canvas provide? Well, for people who want to be solopreneurs, it's a great resource for them, but also for coaches or advisors that are helping people join in this journey. Again, it's a great resource for them to rely on. For the Encore Network, it's a way to attract and support and activate new members. And then just in the whole economic ecosystem, it fills a gap. It shows what we can do to really unleash the talent of these people that are more experienced. So right now, too many adults who can't get hired are stuck. But here's the mindset shift. People may not want to hire you, but often they may buy from you. So this is the idea that entrepreneurship isn't a last resort, it's a true strategy. And this canvas can help people see that possibility clearly. Our ask is we need help adapting a framework, curating the content, identifying what might be missing as we go through different tools and processes, and then truly shaping a tool that helps people. So we'd love your thoughts, your involvement as we build this by solopreneurs for solopreneurs. Now, if you believe in unlocking the experience with practical tools and in entrepreneurship, come help us build this. Let's go solo, but let's not go alone. So thank you.
Great, Lynn. Thank you very much. And now for Spark number 3, Helen Spence, representing the Advocacy Affinity Group.
Hi there. Nice to see many of you. So as you know, advocacy is the underlying thread through all of our work, or rather ageism is. And that's what we're all about. We're about, looking at the policies and practices that need to change, that really drive all these ageist attitudes. So what can we do about that? We have a challenge. All of our members happen to be extremely busy. We know that. It's true of all of us. However, we want to put together something that is going to help everybody move the needle when it comes to aging and ageism. It's really the backdrop, and we know that it limits opportunity and bias, and it undercuts the people that we serve. and we can't do it alone. Uh, we won't solve it in each individual affinity group, but we can solve it or get closer to solving it when we join forces. So I know that many of you are interested in advocacy and activism, but don't really have the time to join fully. However, we've put something together that we think will benefit everybody. Many of you have the skills, and many of you don't when it comes to putting posts and whatnot together. We recognize that. So we're designing something with those people in mind. We're introducing, and this is the big idea, an activism calendar and toolkit. It's a plug and play resource to help all of us into advocacy without having to reinvent the wheel. It's coordinated year round, and it's based on some of the campaigns that we've worked on in the past very successfully. From looking at dates that are significant, like Older Americans Month or Older Persons Day. And I may add, because I'm in Canada, that everything that we've produced, I've been able to customize to my own purposes. And that's the invitation to you as well, to use these advocacy blurbs, posts, op-eds for your purposes and your group as well. Instead of just creating something in isolation, we need one another to do something about it. So here's the ask. And we want to also emphasize that if you don't have the skills, we are going to be providing workshops for you to develop different ideas and posts that you can use as well in your own business. So we need people to join us in shaping the toolkit, help decide what observances matter, share what we hope will be easy for you to do, and be part of a team that's making advocacy accessible, doable, and powerful. If we raise our voices together, consistently and clearly, people notice. And that's something that we found with the recent Flip the Script campaign. It worked. Many people commented from outside the network. So let's make advocacy something that anyone in this network can do well and something everyone will want to do. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Helen. And the sparks are flying here, so now we're going to add some more from Jim McGinley and Isaac Carrasco-Ortiz, talking about intergenerational affinity group.
Jim, I believe you're muted.
That's why we have an intergenerational team here. Um, so I am Jim McGinley, and I co-lead our intergenerational affinity group with Clint Wilkins. Our big idea is to launch the Allies Across Ages Advisory Group. Our goal is to support the entire Encore network to create relationships with younger people with shared interests or organizations with overlapping missions. We envision this group bringing new intergenerational opportunities by recruiting a few thoughtful, passionate people from younger and middle generations. People who get what we're about and want to help us build something meaningful. We'll start small. And now I'll introduce Isaac, who's been introduced, to briefly discuss one idea we have to get started. Isaac is an AmeriCorps member who conducted a very popular session with us a few months ago on digital learning. Isaac?
Thank you very much, Jim. So, hello, everyone. My name is Isaac Carrasco-Ortiz. And as a very brief introduction, I am based in Boston, Massachusetts, working in digital literacy for older adults throughout the state. So with that being said, digital technology is changing very rapidly and has changed very rapidly. We find ourselves in a globally digital world that has immersed itself into our day-to-day life as well. And given the fact that it's been immersed in all of us, It truly means all of us across all ages, all experiences, all opportunities, and all possibilities. And because it's impacted all of us through my experiences working in intergenerational with older adults, I've learned that it's going to take all of us to determine what paths we want to take forward in terms of technological adoption. Now, most recently, what the technological world is looking at now is with the rise and mainstreaming of artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence, AI, is shaping very much so how we are engaging with the digital world and also unlocking the different opportunities that may make other things possible when adopting it. So with that being said, the idea that we'd like to propose here is that due to the mainstreaming of AI, we would like to foster discussions on intergenerational collaboration on the topic of artificial intelligence so that working together across all ages, across all experiences, across all opportunities, we might discover what exactly engaging with AI tools does to us, how we feel about it, and how we can move forward as a group to engage with technologies like AI as a group, as a collective. So the Encore Network has held 3 sessions on AI before, so it would make sense to engage in an intergenerational manner. I very much look forward to joining Jim in the Allies Across Ages Advisory Group, and of course, if this does sound appetizing to you, we invite you to join our breakout room. Thank you, Jim.
Thanks, Isaac. We're not starting from scratch. This builds on our past 3 years of programs working with Co-Generate, Generations Over Dinner, and young entrepreneurs. So join our discussion today and at our July meeting, because when we unite across ages, we can make an impact and change the narrative for everyone. Thanks, Doug.
Thanks to both of you. And now I'd like to introduce Kim Anderson, who will represent the Building Encore Ventures Affinity Group.
Hi, everybody. I'm Kim Anderson from GraySource, and what we're proposing from the Encore Venture side is really the ability to create a stake in the ground. We're calling this the Find 50 project, and this is really integrated into everything the previous speakers have talked about. We know that the first question is, if we're building any kind of an Encore venture or business, where did everybody go? Or as I say every single morning, what the hell? We're talking about the people over 50 that could benefit from what we're doing, regardless of what that is: recruitment, planning, coaching, financial planning, and more. But once people leave certain ecosystems or their workforce, it's really, really difficult and challenging to find them. They're often not in classrooms. They're not in the places that we'd normally go. Maybe they are or are not on LinkedIn regularly, but if they're not actively looking for us, no matter what we're doing, they might not even know that we exist. There hasn't been any really clear path to the plus 50 audience and no playbook. And so many of us are trying the same things and doing the same messaging or making the same mistakes or having a limited success, but then something shifts. And so we're trying to figure out how to create a framework out of the void that we could all benefit from. And we're trying to create something that will give us sort of some legs to the stool on who we're trying to reach, what messages resonate with them, what channels work, what channels don't work, what kinds of offerings have historically led to building trust and success, and to share this framework with each other so that no matter what we're doing in the plus 50 arena, we have some common threads that we could use to reach this audience. And we know that there is not one audience that fits all. So what we're proposing is the Find 50 project, where we will establish the stake in the ground or definition points. And the invitation is for you to join the group so that we could share and define experiences, to test what we learn, to build something that's based around what's worked and what hasn't worked, that we can integrate into all of our different activities, and then to continue to reach or redefine how we reach all of the missing millions over 50. We need this stake in the ground. We need some common threads because we're all working in different interest points. Some of us are in grouped interest points and we can learn from each other, but some very basic common points of information will help us by defining a Project 50 so that we can apply it to whatever we're doing. So the ask is to join in defining some stakes in the ground that will be useful to everyone, no matter which part of the plus 50 spectrum they're trying to reach. So I hope you'll join.
And thank you, Kim. And last but not least, Lynette Reiling will talk about our launch of the Reimagining Service Affinity Group.
Thank you, Doug. Good morning, everybody. I'm glad you're here. When you hear the word service, what comes to mind? Volunteering at a nonprofit, serving on a board, those are formal ways of being involved, and they're important. And many people who are over 50 do them, and they do them very well. But what if we're missing the bigger picture? Because that's only part of what older adults do when they serve. They're caregiving, they're mentoring, they're leading civic efforts, they're supporting families, they're running food shelters, they're helping neighbors, they're solving problems, and they're doing it often quietly without any formal titles and without recognition. And yet, most of this work doesn't show up in the stats. It's invisible to funders. It is uncounted by policymakers. In my personal world, that's a really big deal. It's going to be bigger and bigger. And sometimes it's often overlooked even by us. I know when I'm out in my world and I meet people and we start asking each other, where are you and what are you doing? I often hear, well, I'm just a volunteer. This means that the incredible value that people over 50 bring to their communities isn't fully seen, supported, or celebrated. And we think it's time for that to change. That is what our big idea is that we're proposing to launch a new Reimagining Service Affinity Group. And it's a space to redefine, evaluate, and expand what we mean when we talk about service in the encore stage of life. This isn't just about volunteering more, it's about seeing more. We want to create a new frame, one that includes caregiving, civic engagement, community leadership, and the informal support that strengthens families and neighborhoods. And we want to draw on the deep knowledge of you folks, our members, and connect with existing efforts and explore who is already out there in this space, what they're doing, and how we can add value to what's already happening. And together we'll build a project that raises visibility, that drives engagement, that honors the contributions that matter, but that have too often gone unnoticed. We've already laid some groundwork. Events and expert voices like Ken Dykewald, Mark Friedman, and Chip Conley, and growing number of our members whose own work revolves around service. Now it's time to focus. This new group will help us define a shared agenda, identify partners, and design a project that sparks real change. Imagine a new narrative that recognizes the contributions of older adults as a powerful force for good, as essential to our social fabric and economic health as any other group. And that is about claiming that space together.
If you care about visibility, about value, about the real story of older adults in our communities, we need your voice in this group. Join us to co-create a bigger, bolder understanding of service. Let's build a case, highlight the impact, and show the world what's really happening behind the scenes. Because the service of older adults isn't just generous, it is essential. Let's make sure it gets the credit it deserves. We need some voices, we need some creative energy, and if this speaks to you, we would love to have you join our affinity group.
Great, thank you, Lynn. And thanks to all of our presenters, our pitchers. Now we've heard the pitches and it's the sparks are flying for you, I hope.
Okay, Jim McGinley back with his audio working, and we would like each facilitator to actually just take 30 seconds because we're running a little bit behind with all these good discussions on what was the one great idea that came out of your discussion about the big idea. And I'll start. I'll just say we had in our intergenerational affinity group a great reaction to the Allies Across Ages Advisory Group. And one of the areas we focused on was the difficulty in having younger generations join our affinity group. And our youngest member of this group, Isaac, suggested we do a flip the script with younger people and get the word out about the benefits of being engaged with on an intergenerational perspective. And so that was our idea. Lynn, do you have 30 seconds where you could share from your group one big idea?
Well, they appreciated the idea around.
You're on mute, Lynn.
Sorry.
Yes, so
They appreciated a dynamic and changing resource. So that was one big idea we had. The other one is, was there the possibility for people to get together as a group and explore individual concepts of our canvas? So maybe it would be marketing. Could one group get together and talk about marketing? So again, that was one, is to maintain a dynamic thing, and two was to allow the possibility for groups to get together on a more specific topic.
Great, thanks, Lynn. Helen, how about 30 seconds highlight from your discussion?
So we thought that advocacy in principle is a good idea, but it's frankly too much work. And the big idea that we surfaced was that we should partner with some of the other affinity groups or have ambassadors from those groups so that we can focus on something that isn't only age, because the feeling was that ageism is a bit old and negative. So there you go.
Thank you very much. Paula, how about 30 seconds from you?
yeah, so we had actually a lot of good ideas and passion about we got to get to employers. We have to make it easy. We have to give them easy things to, one, help them figure out how, especially full-time jobs, breaking them up into part-time, figuring out how to get to employers. And because they're so busy, how do we do it so that we are adding value to them versus asking them to take time out of their busy job? So we're going to take those ideas, prioritize it, and see if we can break them into smaller groups on our next affinity group, which is July 9th. And a lot of the people there are going to join, and then we will break them up into small things that can get done quickly so we can get some wins to begin with.
Wonderful, thank you. Lynette, 30 seconds from you, please.
Well, we have this huge tapestry to look at, and we're talking about, so what thread can we just pull out to just as a place to even begin? And what we finally came up with is to do an environmental scan. Who's out there already and what are they doing and what are the sources and resources that are out there looking at older adults and volunteering and the service. So that's where we'll start.
Thank you. And Kim, 30 seconds, please.
I'm going to let Barb summarize.
All right, Barb.
Well, we opened with clarification of the pitch. And so a lot of discussion involved around that. But the conclusion was, and the people in our group were members that are part of the affinity group and attend a lot. So we decided that we already have something scheduled for our July meeting, but in August that we would address what we did in the breakout, but with the total group to set direction and to set goal. That we really needed to bring it back to the affinity group to have further discussion.
Thank
Kim,
you.
does-
And thank you to all of the facilitators and everyone who has contributed to what appears to be some great ideas that have some legs, and we're going to get going on it. I'll turn it over to Doug with a thank you to him for all the work he did in pulling this together. Doug, please wrap us up. I think.
I'm sorry about that.
Okay.
I thank you, Jim, and thank you to everybody who contributed to the discussions today, including all of you. We will share information from the various discussion groups. I know that it's hard to make choices, and you feel, you want to learn more about all of these ideas, and it's hard when we are limited in the way we are. So we will share information so that you have some sense of what the conversations were, the key points at least, from the various groups. We'll share the recording. We'll also share information about the next meetings of each of these affinity groups, because that's where the real action will happen when we start to dig in. If you're not already a member of the affinity group, of the Encore Network, we'll also share information about how you can join. We will offer a significant discount, 25%, between now and next Monday, if you join during that period. And we'll have some other information that we'll pass along as well. And hopefully by the end of the week, you'll get something in your email that will provide all of this information. So with that, I want to thank everybody for a really engaged conversation, some exciting ideas. Let's make this happen. And let's make the change that we all want to see. Have a wonderful afternoon.